I am going to practice talking on camera because I don't do it enough and this camera was expensive. I should probably try and get more use out of it. Just before Christmas, I was invited to take part in the closed alpha for Back 4 Blood, the brand new game by the original creators of Left 4 Dead, Turtle Rock Studios, who are effectively just making Left 4 Dead 3, even though they don't own the rights. Hence why it's called Back 4 Blood, but it still has that number 4 in the middle, which is all that matters, apparently. I really enjoyed what I played, so I thought I'd give you some of my loose thoughts about the Back 4 Blood alpha. Now, before we start, one huge caveat. The footage that is going to be playing on this video is my own footage. However, my PC is getting on a bit. It's about 7 years old. I did replace the graphics card about 3 years ago, but it is an old PC, so it couldn't really run Back 4 Blood in a way that was optimal. Now, I don't know how well optimized this alpha was. Maybe it's not that well optimized just yet, but my computer struggled with it on ultra. Not too bad, just a couple of frame rate drops. So I did knock down the graphics a few times while playing. You might see that reflected in the footage. So when you're watching the footage, if you think to yourself, this looks a bit ropey, that's your explanation. It's not a good indication of what it will look like when running on high settings. So I apologize in advance. So yeah, I was given a closed alpha code. I was very lucky to be given that. I assumed they just needed more players on the servers, and I was very excited for the opportunity because I am a huge Left 4 Dead fan. I adored the first game. I remember playing the beta for that game when it was available for free and just being blown away that this co-op multiplayer experience with an emphasis on like interconnected levels and story that was conveyed through these characters that you were playing as was just magic. It felt genuinely very, very innovative for the time. Purely cooperative titles weren't really a huge thing. This was kind of the birth of that huge push for them in mainstream gaming that eventually ended up with Resident Evil being ruined. So obviously I bought Left 4 Dead the day it came out, and me and a bunch of friends rinsed that game for months, literal months. I must have played hundreds of hours of that game. It just became a really fun space to hang out in. And then when the sequel was controversially released, do people remember that? Left 4 Dead 2 came out like a year or 2 years after, and everyone was like, oh, why isn't this DLC? It was a very, very strange time. I bought that too, and I absolutely loved Left 4 Dead 2 as well. I thought it expanded on the original in some really nice ways and just provided more Left 4 Dead, which was all I think I really wanted, was just more levels to play with friends. I have very, very fond memories of playing through those games, and I really, really like them. Actually, speaking of, my dad recently brought a big box full of my old boxed PC games around. I have physical copies of Left 4 Dead, including the infamous PAL UK version of Left 4 Dead 2, where they had to flip the fingers around, because if you can see the nails, that's swearing in the UK. It was very, very strange. But yes, I own physical copies of Left 4 Dead on PC. It's so strange having physical copies of Valve developed PC games. There's discs in there, they're not just Steam codes. While I'm on that subject, I have a boxed version of Half-Life 2 as well. Weird flex, but okay. So yeah, I have really, really fond memories of playing through those games. So when they announced that Turtle Rock were making effectively Left 4 Dead 3 in the form of Back 4 Blood, I was really, really excited. I think it's a little bit bittersweet because I don't really play online games anymore. I tend to focus on single player and indie stuff. When I saw this announcement, it did make me think, I miss those glory days of playing online co-op with a bunch of pals when I was, 15 years old. But I was excited nonetheless, and when I got that closed beta key, I downloaded it and jumped right in, and what I found was Left 4 Dead 3, and I'm really, really excited by that fact. Core gameplay is the same as Left 4 Dead. You pick up weapons, you shoot hordes of common zombies who are easy to cut through, and alongside them there are a bunch of special zombies that can vomit on you to alert the horde, or stick you in place, or jump at you. There's even a tank zombie. It's just the tank from Left 4 Dead, but it's like 8 times bigger and has a massive health bar. So it's just Left 4 Dead 3, right? And in a lot of ways, it feels like they've approached developing this sequel the same way that they approached developing Left 4 Dead 2. The core gameplay is the same. A lot of the enemies are the same. The core structure of the game, where you move from safe house to safe house, and there are red doored safe rooms in this game with graffiti on the walls. I'm not kidding, this is just Left 4 Dead 3. The structure is the same. You move between these separate levels, separated by safe rooms, until you reach a dramatic final showdown with hordes and hordes of zombies on the alpha level. This was on a boat, the army turned up and you had to plant C4 on the boat to stop the horde from making it on the other side of the bridge. The structure is the same and it works, right? And I think that's why they've approached development the same way. Why fix what isn't broken? All they've done is polish up the graphics, introduce new characters and provide new weapons, which is all this game really needed. When we all wanted a Left 4 Dead 3, all we really wanted was a better looking Left 4 Dead 2, I think. So playing through the actual game was very nostalgic in that sense. It really did feel like putting on a nice comfortable pair of slippers, and for me that was very positive. It proves that the core experience is largely the same. The shooting feels good. It's not that weighty. It feels a little bit arcadey, which was part of the appeal of the original two games. There are melee weapons, just like in Left 4 Dead 2, which makes cutting through hordes of enemies very, very fun. And the characters themselves and the interplay between them, how they talk to one another, how they are all very different, that is there too. Now, they're not as cartoony as they are in the original Left 4 Dead games. I think they're a little bit more grounded in realism, but it still works. It's still nice to see these personable characters chatting away to each other as you're playing through the game. The only real difference between this and the original Left 4 Dead games is they've introduced this new concept of cards. This is to try and make the game infinitely replayable. The idea is that when you start a new run, you are given a handful of cards to pick from. These give you additional bonuses and buffs. Things like if you kill zombies using melee attacks, you get a little bit of health back. It adds a bit of a rogue-like flavour to proceedings just by giving you these randomly dealt perks. And they work. They're interesting enough to make each run feel different, but not overpowered enough to make things too easy or to make things feel unbalanced. Time will tell how well they work in the final release, and in general I think time will tell how everything will end up. But based on my initial 2 hours with the game, I was really impressed by what I found. It's an enjoyable Left 4 Dead sequel developed by the same people who made the originals. I can see this being a huge success as a result of the past year. I for one really want to try and find a group of 3 people to play through this game together with, because when I was playing through the alpha, someone was on voice chat and I think I'm so preconditioned now to roll my eyes and try and mute people when I hear them on voice chat in a multiplayer game. But this guy was really chatty, really personable, really nice, and I didn't feel brave enough to talk with him via the voice chat, but I was tapping away in the text chat, and it just felt really nice to make a personal connection with a complete stranger. And then when the round was over, he was gone, and that reminded me kind of the days of playing Valve multiplayer games like Counter-Strike, like Garry's Mod, like Team Fortress 2, like Left 4 Dead. The amount of nights I would jump on when all of my friends were offline and I would just find 1 or 2 people to chat with, to have a genuine human connection with. And this was nice, I think, to find some rando in this game that resembles those old titles so much. It felt very nostalgic for many reasons, as I'm sure you can understand. So yeah, Back 4 Blood is good, and I'm really happy I got a chance to try out this closed alpha. I can't wait to play the final release. Hopefully I'll have a better PC by then so I can experience it in its intended form. Those are my loose thoughts about Back 4 Blood. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really does help. And I will see you next Sunday at 4 PM for another video on 7 out of 10. I'm doing my Push Square voice. I do this, I'm so preconditioned to end videos in that tone of voice. Bye.